To honor their mother, Mary Loser, Kathy and Karen Loser planned a quilt show featuring their mom's quilts. The show took place Mother's Day weekend 2007 at Minglewood Retreat in Lafayette, Indiana.
We counted this morning, and there's about 145 quilts and wall hangings just here. That doesn't mean that's all that she's done. She's done more that's in California and Colorado and Elwood and Wisconsin and who knows where they all are.
This was something that we as a family did to see, wow, our mom did all this for her family.
I think Mom leaves all these things in terms of tradition and love of family and doing something with your hands, creating something.
That kind of goes back to the thread that binds you together. I mean, that's really what binds us together and brings us together is the quilting part, the act of the quilting, but it's more than that because then it brings that, again, that joy that we enjoy something all together and we can spend time, lots of time together.
The name of the show is Mary's Quilting Passions because I think that the passions that she has are family, friends, and quilting.
Is this all I did?
We had so many quilts, we ran out of wall space and clothesline. We knew we wouldn't have enough room on the clothesline, and we wanted to cover some more of the bare walls in the living room and in the hallway.
Steve Loser came down and he helped do some hanging. He did
Somehow to use
really
our pole
fast.
and hang up more quilts, so we got to hang up the large Colorado log cabin that Mom hand-pieced, hand-quilted for you, and that was a special quilt.
ladies' quilts are hung in the dining room.
Kathy called me when we were down in Florida in January and said, how would you like to do a quilt show for Mom for Mother's Day, showing all the quilts that she had made for family and friends and whoever we could, gather up quilts from. And I thought it was a fabulous idea.
In January, I got this package from Kathy, and she wanted me to name all the quilts that I had made and to name the people I gave them to. And then I was to write an essay about my quilt life.
Kathy gave us all assignments that we had to complete, and we're going to be graded. And it was actually really cute. So we got a package of
Quilting 101 to see how much you know about Mary Loser's quilting. And I was going, I didn't know that when you wrote something back. And I told them that they couldn't talk to each other to take this test to see what they knew about Mom. Mom got an A+ on her Quilting 101. Karen got an A-. Dad was kind of a low A.
I said it started in the 70s somewhere, so I'm presuming it's at least 30 years. I'd sewed before that, but nothing like quilts. I always wanted to, but there was too many other things going on and the kids were little. So we got started quilting, and Kathy has or had, where she lives, a quilt shop that we went to, and we did a lot of classes. And I still take classes because there's always something that you can learn out of each class. And I enjoy it. And I enjoy making all these quilts for my family and friends. And Karen eventually bought a quilt shop, and I got so interested in it. I do a lot of the piecing of items for Karen's shop. This one here, Karen had me to make the tops, and when she got new fabric in, she'd have me make something for the shop to go up on the wall or to take on their trips to the many quilt shows that they do. Of course, she got that line of fabric in, and I started making a whole lot of stuff out of that. This one's another one that I pieced for her, and she had someone to machine quilt for. She gets the patterns in and the fabric, and we have to get them up on the wall pretty quick.
Obviously, if it wasn't for Mom, I would have never learned how to quilt. Or probably if it wasn't for Mom and Kathy and friends, it's not something that would have been something joyous for me to do, quilting. And then that kind of led to my interest in business. I love businesses, so it was a combination of the two. And I probably wouldn't have opened up a quilt shop if it hadn't been for something I enjoy with family and friends. And my mother had taught me. We travel and have done probably anywhere from an average of 20 quilt shows for the last 7 years. So as a vendor on the business side, but I see this show as more as a family tradition, celebration, and not a quilt show.
And we wrestled with the idea, and then it didn't take us long to decide that this was not going to be a show that people paid for.
I mean,
Because that wouldn't be in keeping with Mom and her family and her Grandma Dome.
Or the Quaker Fair. I mean, it really kind of came out of the birth, out of the Quaker Fair. I mean, that's what the Quaker Fair was about. The quilts were on show. We did the bean supper to raise the money for the church itself, but the quilts were really about the showing of quilts and coming and enjoying and meeting the quilting ladies, the people who had put their heart and soul into the quilts that they made. So,
Right.
and this is what this really was about.
Years ago, they used to have what they call bazaars, and they would have a supper, and it was held in the upstairs of the church, and the women quilted. And then we sort of lost that for a few years and decided to get back into quilting again, and it evolved into plans to have a bazaar. And we decided to change it, since it's been quite a few years, and make it the Quaker Fair. So there's just a very few of us that work all through the year, but when Quaker Fair time comes, why, everybody in the neighborhood helps. Not only our members, but non-members, neighbors.
We would meet, there was about 5 of us at first, and we'd meet in each other's home for an all-day thing. They did that years ago at the church, and the church is such an old building that it wasn't feasible for us to go down there and go upstairs. So eventually, as we grew, and we finally grew into 11 people, I had it down at my home on the lower level of the basement, and the back side of the basement was level with the ground, so it made a nice place to quilt. And we hand quilted. We even hand pieced. I didn't do any machine piecing until later on, but we met twice a week. They came to my house and all day, and we'd always go someplace for lunch. Occasionally we'd have everybody bring in something, and then we had we were making quilts for the Quaker Fair, and that went on for, I think, at least 12 years. And then gradually, because they were a lot older when they started, a lot of them are gone now. We enjoyed that, and I learned a lot from them because they were already good quilters.